Hello and welcome back to the workout of the week. My name's Tommy Matthews and we've got Andy Phillips here who's going to do the demonstrations for today. Today we're going to be working with the foam rollers, and what we're going to be looking at is a movement preparation sequence. Something that not everyone really buys into, but we feel is really important to ensure that when we're training or when we're moving, we're getting the very best efficient movement. We're getting the best range of motion, or we're getting the best control out of joints. So what we're going to look at is a squat as a movement pattern. Very important exercise, very important movement. And obviously everybody hopefully is getting their clients to squat. So first of all, the sequence and how we're going to work here to explain this before we actually get into it. We're only going to do a couple of different positions, but what we're going to look at is testing, performing a self-myofascial release drill, performing a mobiliser, and then retesting the exercise. Okay, and if you follow that sequence, what you tend to find is that first of all you get to see the exercise, to see what the potential tightnesses are. You get to do the drills to work on those tightnesses, and then you get to put it back into the exercise to actually see if it's made any difference. Okay, so Andy's going to start performing his squat. We're just going to take you through the first sequence here. So we're looking at the squat, and what we're looking for here really is, to start off with, is range of motion. Okay, so we're looking for range of motion in flexion across the ankle and also across the knee and the hip. To start off with, the first drill is going to be focusing on the lower leg, so essentially across the ankle complex. Okay, so once we've had a look at that range of motion, we're seeing how far those knees can travel forwards across the over the feet. We're seeing what sort of level of flexion we can get out of the ankle. We're going to get Andy to set up on the floor on the lower leg. And we're just going to do one side here, so let's focus on the left-hand side. Okay, so Andy's going to set himself up on the roller. He's going to potentially bring his hips up off the floor to get a bit more pressure. With the roller, what we're trying to do is apply pressure to the painful areas within the muscle. Okay, when we're rolling with foam rollers, with doing SMR, what we're looking for essentially is to use a pain scale. The pain scale, generally we work between 1 and 10. So if 10 was the worst thing you've ever experienced in terms of pain, somewhere around 7 is the most you want to be on with this exercise or with this drill. So if it's starting to be more painful now, if you really can't take the pain, you just need to take more weight off the roller. So in this situation, you would drop your hip to the floor, okay, and that would take the weight off the roller. So that's what you need to bear in mind. What you're going to do is slowly work your way up from the bottom of the calf all the way up to the top of the calf. Okay, so you're working through the full belly of the calf, trying to release different areas. Once you find a painful spot and you hold there, you'll hopefully find that the pain actually releases a little bit. As the pain releases, that's a sign that we're actually releasing that tension. When that tension is gone, the pain will reduce. So potentially you'll get down to somewhere around maybe 2 or 3. If that happens, then you can move on to the next painful spot. Okay, so that's what we're looking for when we're rolling, when we're performing an SMR drill. So Andy's performed that now. The next thing he's going to do is come into a mobiliser. The mobiliser is essentially just putting that release now into movement. So the first thing he's going to do on his left leg is he's just going to perform a single leg knee driver. So the single leg knee driver is focusing on flexion through the ankle complex. Okay? With that added range of motion that we've hopefully gained by releasing the tension through the back of the leg, we're now able to increase the range of motion through that leg. And hopefully, okay, putting now back into the squat, hopefully what our client, Andy, is going to actually feel is that there's a massive difference between left and right leg, okay? So as Andy starts to squat, he'll hopefully start to feel that the ankle is a little bit freer on the left leg. And if that's the case, we know that we've done something right, and that means that we can continue going with this process. So obviously we would do the same on the opposite leg. What's really important when we're doing these tests is that we're always asking our client how they're feeling. So we want to be asking Andy if he's feeling any freer on one side or the other, to know whether what we're prescribing him or this protocol that we're using is actually working. Okay, so that's a demonstration of how we use these sequences. And we find them really, really powerful when working with clients. So using a roller and using self-myofascial release, putting it into a mobiliser, and then after the mobiliser, retesting the exercise. Always trying both sides, or testing one side, trying one side, and then trying the other side to see if we're making any differences with our clients. And make sure you can constantly get feedback from your client. If you don't get feedback from your client, then you're never going to know if you're making any difference. Okay? So slightly different to our usual intense, challenging volume workout, but this one is really important to make sure that you're looking after your clients, you're improving their movement, and you're getting the best range of motion out of them. That will in turn improve results. So have a go at that workout of the week, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.